A mobile phone is ultimately useless without an electrical charge. And you know this because if your old phone runs out of battery, if your phone runs out of charge, then it don't do a lot, does it? You know what I'm saying? So ultimately, the electrical charge is vital for the phone to be able to function and work as a phone, you know? Now, in the same way, the brain is ultimately just a lifeless organ without consciousness. Consciousness itself is the electrical charge, is the spark which gives life to the brain. Now, the brain needs to be in physical working order to act as a host for consciousness. Let me explain what I mean by that. My old phone here. My old phone is broken. It's been physically broken for a while now. But the lead is live. This is live. I could plug this live lead in to my old phone here for an hour, a week, a month, a year, whatever. And my old phone won't come on. Because physically it's broken. You understand what I'm saying? In the same sense, the brain, if the brain is physically damaged, like the phone, if the phone is physically broken, it cannot act as a host. You hear those birds? The phone cannot act as a host for the electrical charge if the phone is physically broken. In the same sense, the brain, if the brain is physically damaged, seriously damaged, the brain can no longer or cannot act as a host for consciousness. You follow me on that? Now, the brain and consciousness come together as one. You understand what I'm saying? The brain and consciousness, whatever consciousness is, wherever that comes from, that's a phenomenon in itself. But the brain and consciousness come together as one to make the brain what it is. A living, functioning, conscious brain. A conscious brain. You know what I'm saying? So, you are your brain. You are your brain, and so am I, and so is the rest of humanity. You are your brain. I know that sounds like a funny expression. I've said it quite frequently in a lot of my videos. I know I don't get many viewers watching my videos, but if anybody's watched any of my previous videos, you'll know that I frequently say, you are your brain. Now, of course, as the whole finished article being limbs, bones, muscles, organs, flesh, and the brain, all of that put together as one makes the human being. You know what I'm saying? And in that human being, each human being is then given a name. And your name might be John. You know what I'm saying? So as the whole finished article, yes, you're a human being with a name. But fundamentally, deep down, fundamentally what you are is the brain. The conscious brain is what you are. Let me explain why I'm saying this. Because the brain houses consciousness in the sense that consciousness doesn't reside within any other part of the body. You know, Limbs can be lost in unfortunate, horrific accidents. You can lose limbs, and still be you, still be conscious. Major organs can be transplanted, and consciousness consciousness still remains within the body. Of course, all the major organs of the body play a huge part in our existence, in your existence, in my existence. Of course, I'm not denying that. But what I'm saying is, consciousness doesn't reside in any of the major organs. Organs can be transplanted and consciousness can remain within the body. But to put it simply, if the brain is removed from the body, if the brain is removed, then there's no consciousness within the body, and the body ultimately just becomes a corpse. So again, to put it simply, no brain, no consciousness, and therefore there's no you. I hope that makes some sense. So, if you see this, if you really see what I'm saying here, that you are your brain. Without the brain, there's no consciousness, and therefore there's no you. You are your brain. The conscious brain is you. If you see that, not just see it in the sense that, oh yeah, that makes sense. Not just see it for the fact that it makes sense. If you really see it, I'd like to continue and go a little bit deeper and just say that, yes, you are the brain, I am the brain, but deeper than that, we are all an expression of the brain. We are an expression of the conscious brain. And let me go into this. So, if you've ever watched a surfing movie, or a movie that involves surfing, the surfer rides the wave. Ride the wave, dude. You know what I'm saying? The surfer rides the wave. What is a wave? What is a wave? A wave is an expression of the sea, or the ocean, whatever you want to call it. Let's call it the sea. The wave is an expression of the sea. You know what I'm saying? All the time the sea's flat, we call it the sea. The moment it begins to rise, we call it a wave. but the wave is not separate from the sea. The wave is still the sea. You understand? The wave is just an expression of the sea. In the same sense, thought, emotions, movement, characteristics, everything that we are is not separate from the brain. Everything that we are is the brain. Again, thoughts, emotion, movements, characteristics, everything that we are is an expression of the brain. Everything that we are is not separate from the brain. Everything that we are is an expression of the brain. Do you see that? And to me, it's just fascinating that each brain, each individual brain within each individual human body, each brain spawns different characteristics. To me, that's fascinating. This whole topic is fascinating to me. Hence why I'm making a video. But each different brain spawns different characteristics. And you know this because your characteristics might be vastly different to my characteristics. And my characteristics might be different to my next door neighbours. You know what I'm saying? And also, another fascinating phenomenon is that the brain spawns different thoughts. The brain spawns thought. We all think. So we all think, that's the bottom line, but the nature of our thoughts, the nature of thought differs from one person to the next. You know what I'm saying? So the brain spawns thoughts of varying natures, of a varying nature. Individual thought patterns are spawned from the brain. You know what I'm saying? We all think, that's the bottom line, but from one person to the next, the nature of a person's thoughts will always vary. And that fascinates me. I don't know whether you feel the same, but another phenomenon is that, to me, and I want to make a whole nother video on this, but it seems that to me, maybe, possibly, each individual brain has inbuilt factory settings. I want to do another video on that, but anyway. Look, what's the point of this? What's the point of me making this video? I have to always ask that question, you know. And my point is this: solely identifying with your physical body and who you think you are just leads to way too many problems. You know what I'm saying? Insecurity, all of that. Solely identifying with your body and who you think you are just leads to too many issues. And you know, this is not to say that we need to disregard our identities. Again, your name might be John. This doesn't need. What I'm saying here is, I'm not suggesting we need to disregard our identities and simply just refer to ourselves as the conscious brain, you know, because it all gets a bit romantic. If you've ever looked into spirituality, which I've delved deep into the world of spirituality myself, or non-duality is another topic which I've seen, which has come to my attention. You know, if you've ever delved into any of this business, it all gets a bit romantic, you know, and people start expressing themselves as consciousness or the universal. I am the universal consciousness, you know. And I get it, yeah, I get it. Don't get me wrong, but it all gets a bit romanticised, and I'm not suggesting you have to disregard your whole identity, and you know, of course I'm not suggesting that, but I'm just simply saying that if you see the truth that deep down, fundamentally, you are the brain, that is you. Ultimately, what that means is we're all the same. We're all the same. Of course, we think differently, different characteristics, but ultimately we're all the same. So if you see that, if you really see that, instantly it changes your relationship with the rest of humanity. To put it simply, undoubtedly it changes your relationship with the next man, with the next woman, if you see the truth of all this. If you see that we're all the same. Now, separation. Another point of me saying all this is separation is a real big issue. In the separation, in the sense that we separate ourselves from our mind. We separate ourselves from our thoughts. myself included in the past. Before I saw the truth of all this myself a few years back, I would have separated myself from my mind or myself from my thoughts, which is wrong. Again, you are your mind. Your brain, in other words. The brain and the mind is the same thing. You are your mind. You are your thoughts. You're not separate. All these mental health issues, the only real mental health issue is the fact that we separate ourselves from our thoughts, from our mind. That's wrong. You are your thoughts. You are your mind. You are your brain. You are the conscious brain. However you want to say it. You are your thoughts. You're not the byproduct of your thoughts. Now, again, I'm not... Oh my Lord, I've just seen how long this video is going on for. I'm going to end it now. I'm not a brain specialist. I'm not a guru. I'm certainly not, any of these things. You can see all this for yourself. You can see the truth of all this for yourself. And if you see it, it's possible that if you really see it, a fundamental change takes place. What that change is, you'll have to see for yourself. All the best. Take care.